Welcome to our daily reflection for this Saturday, August 23rd. There's a beautiful connection between the first reading from the story of Ruth and Boaz and the gospel reading. Jesus ends the gospel reading critiquing the scribes and the Pharisees when he talks about how they sit in the seat of Moses. In other words, they have a teaching authority and they teach well, but they don't practice. So don't follow their example, but follow their teaching. And again, here Jesus gives us a principle for when there's bad shepherds who you follow the teaching of the church, even if the teachers aren't faithful and aren't good examples. And so he gives us that kind of principle. But then he says at the end, because one of the dangers of these bad shepherds, the scribes and the Pharisees, or any bad shepherd in the life of the church, is that they tend to exalt themselves. They want to be glorious in front of others. And Jesus says, those who exalt themselves shall be humbled, and the humbled shall be exalted. And that's really what we see in the first reading, that beautiful saying, it's the humble being exalted. You know, you have Ruth, who is humble and faithful, and Boaz says, look, you caught my eye, not so much because of her beauty, although she's beautiful, but what catches Boaz's eye about Ruth is that she was faithful to the Lord, and she travels and takes care of her mother-in-law in her widowhood, and in her humility and in her need. And so Ruth is faithful to Naomi and is faithful to the Lord. And that fidelity really is striking to Boaz. And then he will take care of her and will end up marrying her. And so she, this outsider, this Moabite, in her widowhood and in her poverty, is exalted and raised up by God. And she will actually become the great-grandmother for the house of David. Right, which is amazing. She'll be fruitful, which is what the Psalm 127 talks about. And Boaz is a man who fears the Lord, and he finds a good wife, just as Proverbs 31 says, that charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord shall be praised. And Boaz praises this woman of the Lord and marries her, and he will be blessed in his marriage and his family and his household, which is really extraordinary. And Jesus, again, saying, whoever exalts himself will be humbled, but the humble will be exalted by God. And so that saying is one worth pondering today. Let's seek to be humble. Let's seek not to exalt ourselves in the eyes of others. Let's make our audience an audience of one. That is God the Father. Let's not care what the world and others see or say of us, but rather what God does. That's what matters most. And that's what Boaz and Ruth model for us today in their reading. May the Lord bless and keep you. I'm so excited about this month of August because it's our 20th anniversary for the Augustine Institute. And all of us here at the Augustine Institute are so excited about, as we look back over the past 20 years, all the amazing things that the Lord has done and how many people he's brought into our reach. We've become the largest Catholic graduate school in theology. We have the largest video platform formed. And now we have the fastest growing curriculum, Word of Life, in Catholic schools. And now we have this beautiful new campus, a half hour north of the city of St. Louis on the Bucolic Bluffs overlooking the Missouri River. And all these things God has done, and we see that he wants to do so much more. We have more requests than ever for our growing graduate school. I have priests and religious around the globe actually asking us for scholarships so that they can attend our graduate school. We have so many people asking for so much more content from our Form platform. All kinds of opportunities. And what is at the heart of our ability to reach so many people is our mission partners, those who donate. And so I want to invite you to join our special fellowship of donors called the Mission Circle. Because people who join this membership in our Mission Circle, we have a special community and we do special things with them and for them on a monthly basis. But what they do is by prayer and by financial support, you help empower our mission to reach more and more souls for Jesus Christ. We're really reaching millions, but there's millions more to reach. And we want to do that as we look to the future. And so as our Pope Leo XIV, who calls himself a spiritual son of St. Augustine, we want you to join us as children of St. Augustine and under our patron St. Augustine. Help us to share the good news of Jesus Christ, because our mission is simple: to help Catholics understand, live, and share the gospel Become a member, please, by the Feast of St. Augustine, by August 28th. We want to grow our membership so that we can grow our mission. Thank you so much, and God bless.